Hello friends, I'm Suvajit Ray from IIFL Securities. I looked after product and distribution. If we see the last 15 years journey of Indian economy, and we have transpired to become one of the very largest and one of the leading economy in the global footprint. Now, while we talk about the journey that we have transpired for the last 15 years, I believe you all of us have enjoyed this journey and seen the success. But at the same point in time, the government policies has really fueled and helped that entire economy, that entire entrepreneurial community, the companies who has got that inspiration, that kind of a force to rejoin back and create this. I believe if I even relate that with the subject of mutual fund as an industry, what we have seen in last over 10 years from 10 trillion AUM has become 65 trillion economy. It's almost a 66 times a fold. And if you see in the last 4 years, it is just the double. So the gradient curve is going up. To discuss this today, I'm really thrilled to have Mr. Manish Gunwani, the CIO for Bandhan Mutual Fund. I just wanted to listen and learn from your the mantra, the success story, and the investment hypothesis that how to invest. So, sir, welcome to our show. The first question which I have, let's say for an example, it's everyone asks that if government policies, if you are talking about, which is a very big trigger for the Indian economy. Now, Modi 1, Modi 2, post-election. What is your bet that how this trajectory, these policies can take us through the next level?
Right. So, as you rightly pointed out, we've seen that the government has played a big role in improving the supply side of the economy. So, what I mean by supply side is the infrastructure, the macro stability in terms of keeping inflation low, current account deficit low. So, they've created a platform on which entrepreneurs can thrive. Now, while the third term of the current government has started off with lesser number of seats than they had expected, but I do think that a lot of the changes that they've done in the last 10 years are now institutionalized. India is in a very sweet spot, both in terms of macro, in terms of geopolitics, in terms of the stability we have, in terms of politics, institutions. So, this may be a cliche, but I think this is going to be India's decade.
Yeah, very rightly said. So even if you know that now, while we speak to a lot of investors, one thing always come to their mind: the US election and Fed rate cut.
Yeah.
What is the next step? How do you think that market is really going to react? What would be our MPC? And will that be real a dampen effect or anything, a large correction probably we all should anticipate? And how should an investor will think about the investing?
So I think markets sometimes hype up the short term, and by the end of this calendar year, the Fed may cut 100 bips, which was very different 2 months back. Dollar depreciates versus other currencies. There is a very high correlation that overall equity markets do well. And I think the good part is, if you see in the last 1 month, the dollar has depreciated a lot. So I think it is building into a good situation towards this calendar year end.
So what we have seen that in over this decade, the sector rotation always have played very pivotal role in the fund management. So as a fund house and a CIO, what do you feel that your entire equity portfolio, how you can take the leverage out of it, how the customer can be benefited, and how important this is exactly to make a more your fund perform for our investors?
Actually, I think it's super important because if you see the various sectors, such as financials, metals, real estate, pharma, IT, and you go back 10, 20 years, you will see that any one sector typically does well for 1, 2 years and then it falls off. So if you have to beat the market, if you have to create alpha, we have to get these sector cycles right. Now, these sector cycles to a large extent are linked to the macroeconomic cycles. When the economy typically in one of the four phases, Either it's in expansion, peak, contraction, slump. Now, let's say if it's an expansion, for example, typically the cyclical sectors like financials, real estate, they will do well. And the defensive sectors like FMCG, pharma may not do well. So, a lot of our work is about trying to figure out which cycle is the economy in, which cycle is the market in, which cycle is the corporate earnings in, and based on that cycle, I think we have to fine tune our portfolio and be overweight or underweight the relevant sector.
I believe it's a humongous task as a fund manager to sync between the economic cycle and the sector rotation together for your fund to perform really good. So this lead to my next question. What do you feel that which theme can now from here on can play well for next 10 years when customers are investing in mutual funds? What is that segment or a theme a customer should typically look at for next 10 years to perform?
So I think one theme which has lot of um, tailwinds is basically this India's white collar workforce, which is your doctors, scientists, engineers, management consultants, etc. I think the demand for this white collar workforce will go up a lot, and a lot of sectors which employ these people, they will do well. So the reason for this is basically, you see the West, it has demographic issues. A lot of the countries are facing shortage of everything from chartered accountants to welders to doctors, etc. Right. Second is, a lot of the products and services were being provided by China, and due to geopolitics, the developed countries now no longer want to source too much from China. So India becomes a good alternative. Third is, if you see the demand, for example, in healthcare, a lot of the developed countries, their fiscal situation is very adverse at this point of time. The government debt is very high, the fiscal deficit is very high, and at the same time, the population is aging, so the healthcare costs are shooting up. So, when you see India with its set of doctors, hospitals, generic drug producers, I think it is natural that India becomes part of the solution of reducing the healthcare cost for the developed countries. So that way, I think whether it is engineering, pharma, auto ancillaries, wherever this white collar workforce is there, I think that set of industries will do very well because the world needs us.
Okay, so you mean to say the anything on the consumption side and the business cycle side will do really well going forward?
Yeah, so this white collar workforce will obviously consume, let's say, aviation or hotels or restaurants. That consumption will also do well, I think, but more the affluent consumption, because the globe wants to source these services and products from us. So I think a lot of these cities like NCR, Bangalore, Chennai, they will grow a lot, I think.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Manish, to have us with us and share your thought process and your mantra with us. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.